it going, everybody? Welcome to General Hospital MV, my GH After Show. Let's get into it. We're gonna dive right into the teen scene because surprisingly they had the most drama this week and a lot of it was hella juicy. When we last left off, Trina ran into Spencer at the graveyard. He was there visiting Courtney's grave, and when they heard footsteps, Spencer begged Trina to not say anything and he went into hiding. And it's a good thing he did because it was Jordan that showed up. Trina covered until Jordan left and she was pissed that Spencer put her in that position, but as per usual, Spencer was smooth with the lines and Trina was all about it. Once Trina left, Spencer had some words for Courtney. He made promises that he would be a better person as soon as he was out, and then eventually he made his way back to Spring Ridge. Meanwhile, the other half of their friend group, Joss and Cameron, were busy being humiliated in class because of their secretly recorded sex tape being on screen for their whole class to see, and to make matters worse, it appears that the whole school had seen it. At first, Cam and Joss didn't really know what to make of the situation until they heard Esme making noise in the hallway, and Joss was super confrontational with her, rightfully so, but Esme did do her best to cover for herself. Sadly, the one thing that Esme did have going for her was the fact that she wasn't at the cabin when they had sex, which gave her the opportunity to have that segue line of, "Why don't you ask someone that was actually there?" just when Trina walked in. Trina exchanged some heated words with Esme, which was kind of nice to see, finally seeing her stand up to Esme, but I just hate that this week has brought enough, doubt in Joss's mind that there is a slight possibility that it could be Trina because she was so drunk at the cabin that night. Who knows what she did? I mean, you would think that Jocelyn would know Trina well enough to know when she's lying about something, so maybe that'll help, but it's hard to say at this point. Later in the week, Joss and Cam had to break the news to their mothers about the sex tape, and they handled the news quite well. I was actually really impressed. Cameron had to tell Elizabeth the truth because Jake got sent a link to it, and Jocelyn had to tell Carly the truth because she was crashing at her mom's place. Carly stayed really calm and level-headed. She got Spinelli to delete the video off of the internet, and then she told Jocelyn that this scandal would blow over when the next scandal hits. As for Elizabeth, she told Cameron that his feelings were valid. Cameron was obviously more worried about Jocelyn because he gets the high fives from the dudes while she gets called a slut. And she was like, you know what? No, you're going through this too. You do not get to shut down your own feelings. This is a bad situation for you as well. Speaking of Elizabeth, and we'll get back into the teens in a minute here, specifically Esme, but with Elizabeth, she is still dealing with the fallout of having a stalker. All signs seem to be pointing at Jake. I don't personally think that it's him, but on the off chance that it is, Elizabeth thinks that it's best for her and Finn to cool off their relationship for a little bit so that she can focus on her children. She also thinks it's best that Jake talk to a shrink, which he wasn't happy about, but he does it, reluctantly of course. Just to remind people of my take, I really hope that Elizabeth doesn't have DID. I'm kind of hoping that it's Heather Weber because that would be a much more entertaining storyline for me personally, but it is what it is. What do you guys think? Now, back to Esme. This girl got me shook this week. Sex tape antics aside, we gotta talk about another story that she's been a part of. These last few months, we've seen that Esme clearly has an interest in Ryan Chamberlain. I mean, she took an internship at Spring Ridge for him. She's been trying to see him every chance she got, at least until Kevin restricted her access from him. This week, while visiting Spencer and sprinkling the idea that Trina had something to do with Cameron and Jocelyn's video, Ryan Chamberlain happened to be in the same room, and when she goes up to him, the man speaks! He says, "What the hell are you doing here?" Later, she sneaks into his cell and asks him why he would risk speaking to her in a room full of people, and he says that he is tired of being as animated as an eggplant while he waits for her to split up Ava and Nicholas. Turns out they've been in cahoots this whole time. He is the reason why she started seeing Spencer in the first place, so that she can convince him to break up Nicholas and Ava. But that's not the only thing that was revealed. At one point, she gets on her knees and calls him daddy, and honestly, I wasn't sure if she meant that in a biological way or in a daddy kink kind of way, and even now, I'm not 100% sure about it. I was so creeped out. Either way, this is one messed up relationship, whether he's her dad or her daddy. If he is her biological dad, I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of when he could have actually impregnated someone to have a girl as young as Esme when he's been locked up this entire time. But yeah, like I said, their relationship is pretty messed up because now Ryan is trying to get her to sleep with Nicholas to break Nicholas and Ava up. This is exactly like Nell 2.0, but like dollar store version of her. I don't see Nicholas cheating on Ava willingly, so I bet that she is going to drug him like Nell drugged Sonny and tricked him into thinking that they slept together. I mean, this wouldn't even be the first time that Esme has used drugs to manipulate someone in the first place, because she did that with Trina at the cabin. What do you guys think of this new revelation that Esme is Ryan Chamberlain's daughter? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, now let's talk about what else is going on in Port Charles. Some of the adults have some interesting things going on, so let's discuss. Victor Cassadine is very much the topic of a lot of the adults in Port Chuck. Laura, along with Drew, Sam, and Dante, are trying to devise a plan to figure out why Victor wants to control Drew. Knowing that Drew's past memories are inaccessible, they try to come up with a plan to convince Victor that he does have control of Drew, and luckily for them, Maxie and Britt got the belongings of the guy who shall not be named on my show ever again, and the gang teams up with them and plants a fake tarot card into his belongings and drop that box in front of Victor so that he can see that there is a tarot card in there, so that Victor would just grab the card when nobody is looking, which he does. The one thing that is consistent with Victor is that he is easily played, which is kind of funny when you consider the amount of times that people like Laura and Anna keep calling him ruthless. Speaking of Anna, she and Felicia are about to go on a mission of their own. They're gonna make their way to Austria and look for proof that Victor had Luke killed. Honestly, I love seeing Anna and Felicia and Robert and Mac putting their heads together. It has me nostalgic of the glory days. I mean, obviously I don't see them going on no location shoot to Austria with the budget that soap operas have these days, but I'm still glad to see them working together all this time later. Elsewhere in Port Charles, love is lingering in the air. Brooklyn has returned to town. She was out of town for a few days, visiting her mom to clear her head. And she returns and she has a conversation with Michael about her budding romance with Chase that could be forming. She denies and denies and denies, but eventually Michael's like, you know, I could see something between you two. And she's like, you think? Chase was having a similar conversation with his brother Finn about Brooklyn. I don't know if they're going to get together right away. I think we're going to see a lot of push and pull and a bit of a tug of war between the two of them. They're going to like go a little bit closer, and then when they do, they're going to push each other away. And it's just going to be this back and forth. But, you know, we love to see it. That's kind of classic soap romance at work here. So I'm excited. What do you guys think of Brooklyn and Chase? Let me know in the comments below. Portia and Curtis are house hunting with Lucy. And wouldn't you know it, the only house that seems to be available is Jax's old place. Gotta love soap opera budgets. It is what it is though. Spoiler alert, they buy the house. Now the most romantic couple in Port Charles is actually out of Port Charles and in Niagara Falls, Canada at the moment. Sasha is either so in love or so freaking high that she wants to marry Brando today, and he agrees with her, although he does kind of question as to why she wants to do it so fast. But she's actually pretty convincing and says that she wants to get married now because she wants to hold on to all the good things she has in life for Liam's sake. Honestly, I think it's a perfectly reasonable explanation because they're going through this grief together. It makes sense that they want to kind of go forward with their life in this kind of way. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. But we know that Sasha is also on drugs right now, so it's kind of sad. Gladys just so happens to call Sasha when they are on their way to the chapel, and Sasha lets her know that they are in Niagara Falls and the cell reception is spotty and hangs up. And Lucy happened to be there when Gladys was calling her and says that, hey, Niagara Falls is a place where a lot of people elope, and Gladys goes into like complete madness. Surprisingly, it does come from a good place, so she has accepted that Sasha is, you know, the love of her son's life, but she is worried that they are doing this impulsively because of Liam, which she technically is. She goes to Carly and asks for her help, but Carly says that she needs to let her child live his own life, which is rich coming from Carly Corinthos. Carly can barely handle Gladys, so she drags him over to Sunny's, where of course Nina happens to be, but Carly again keeps her cool. I'm impressed with Carly lately, not gonna lie. The three of them actually managed to convince Gladys to let Brando live his life and let them make whatever life decisions together. They are grieving together, therefore they should try to get each other through it in whatever way they deem right to them. Whatever happens next, Gladys just has to be there to support her son and her new daughter-in-law. Funny enough, Brando's car actually breaks down on their way to the chapel and they have to get towed to the closest mechanic. And of course the car isn't going to get fixed that night. Luckily for them, the mechanic happens to be an ordained minister and he invites his own wife over to be their witness so that they can go and get married right in the mechanical shop. Honestly, if it wasn't for the underlying fact that Sasha was on drugs, this would be so them. Like, this is such a classic romantic soap-esque story, but it's just, you know, Sasha's on drugs. It's the only thing that's ruining this, otherwise this is so adorable. Now, the only other thing I think is worth noting that happened this week is that Alexis had a girls' night at the Savoy with Diane and a recast Harmony. Temporary, don't worry about it, although there are a lot of recasts lately, I don't know why. Diane wants Alexis to get back into the dating game, and there's a man that's interested in Alexis at the bar that she turns down, and Alexis and Diane butt heads over it. Harmony believes that Alexis should just do what she feels is right for herself, which is great advice, I think. Willow and Michael also happen to be at the Savoy, and she goes up to say hi to them, and Willow says that she got her birth certificate and that they haven't gone to get their passports yet. I still think that Willow is going to get busted for having a fake birth certificate and is going to get arrested, and then they're going to go straight to Harmony and be like, what the hell? I should point out that Diane was listening in on the conversation. She has been talking to Alexis about the Harmony situation a little bit, although mostly in hypotheticals, but Diane is smart, so she knows that something fishy is going on with Harmony and the fact that she has a birth certificate to give Willow. Given Diane's close relationship with Michael and Willow, it is entirely possible that she's going to let them in on that secret, at least for sure when Willow gets busted. But anyway, that's all she wrote this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned this Wednesday because we are watching another classic GH wedding. I hope you guys tune in with me live. But yeah, I'll end the video here. If you liked this video, give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. I would truly appreciate it. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.